Hi, this is May.
And I'm Joy.
Welcome to the QWERTY Writing Life podcast, where we have candid chats about our creative lives.
May and I are friends, writers, and creatives who want to share our endeavors out loud.
On this podcast, we're here to encourage each other, and you too,
and share tools we've discovered or made up.
So you can follow your passions with a little support. So grab your tea.
Or your coffee.
And let's get started.
I gotcha. Sorry, I wasn't sure what you were talking about, right?
Yeah, I totally saw it as office, so
Gotcha.
Hopefully no one will get sick. But it's just, had to do what I had to do kind of thing. But, so today, we're going to be talking about rituals, and this was actually a break of my routine, so I suppose there is a transition in there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Where we had a listener who wanted us to talk about our rituals that we do when we write. So that is what we're going to do today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And, Creative Weeks. Joy, what did you do?
Okay, so I wrote this is actually tying in really well with our topic for today.
Oh, nice.
Because I wrote a blog post in a new spot. Totally different, out of the ordinary, out of the routine.
Now, when you say spot, do you mean like digital spot or like real life spot?
No, real life spot. So where I was when I wrote it, we actually are super blessed to have two amazing libraries here in my town. They're both phenomenal. And so I typically go to one, that's just where we've always gone. But we went to the other one for my kids to do a team project that they're working on this summer. And so while they were doing that, I sat down and started writing my blog post. And, it actually turned out really well for me. Sometimes it's hard for me to be out of my routine, which we're going to talk about in a minute, have that ritual, have that spot, have that place that you can envision yourself working in and you know what to expect. This was out of that ordinary, but I really enjoyed it. And there's more light, natural light in that library than in the one that I usually go to. And I found I really kind of liked that, I think. Maybe the light was a little helped with the creativity or whatever. So yeah. That was kind of cool. So what about you? What was your creative thing for the week?
I am preparing for yet another project because that's what I do.
Yay for projects.
So this one is a poetry and art project. It's something that I really want to get done this summer, and I am working with one of my mentors from college, and now she's just my friend, and it is the best. It is the best. So we are pulling together some poetry, and I'm going to do some art, and it's going to be a thing. So that's what I was working on this week. I'd written some poetry for this particular project when we talked about it a year ago, and then it never gained traction. So I was reviewing that poetry and trying to get my mind wrapped around what art could go with it. And right now I am thinking about watercolors, and so I'll be practicing that soon as well, because I get my kind of like riding a bike, you start off wobbly at the beginning, and then you remember, this is where my feet go. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be, next week I'll be remembering where my feet go.
I love that. So. And I'm a little jealous because I can't paint or do anything drawy.
I feel like a lot of things, and this could be a whole nother podcast, but I do feel like a lot of things creative we could learn.
Yeah.
So, if you have the desire and if the talent's not quite there yet, then there are ways to learn and to still be proficient, if not good. So, there is hope for you yet, Joey.
Oh, yay. I like the sound of that.
So that is, that's kind of what I've been doing. So, want to roll into our rituals?
Yeah. So the question was really, do you have a secret to your writing rituals? Is there something that you always do? Kind of that kind of thing. And so we had a lot of fun discussing this. We decided we would say what our ideals are.
Yes, yes. So these are the things we're about to talk about, the dream scenario. Mm-hmm. Like if you could pick any location in any kind of shelter, in any kind of weather, silence, music, all that kind of stuff. So, Joy, you go first.
A cabin on top of the mountains with no one else there. If we're being honest.
Mm-hmm. Let's be honest.
So yeah, definitely I like music to write. I know everybody's different with that. I do like music. And I have different kinds of music based on the type of story that I'm writing, and also based on what I'm actually doing. If I'm writing or I'm editing or I'm revising, it's different. So I'm a music person, but I like to have everybody tucked away, everybody's in their spot, they're good, they're taken care of. Even the dogs are asleep. Even the bad one is asleep and not dreaming. That is my ideal.
Gotcha. Do you have a particular smell or food or drink or
not really outfit? Necessarily smell. Outfit comfy. That's all that matters. Comfy. I'm wearing pajama bottoms. You just can't see it. Okay, reality. I could be sitting at my desk and I can look good up here, but I'm most likely wearing pajama pants. As far as food, I may as well be. As far as food, chocolate is definitely a big one. I do love chocolate. But yeah, if I just have water, coffee, tea, depends on the time of day too. Yeah, those are kind of my main ones.
Well, that sounds glorious.
So what about you? What's your ideal?
I can recall when I first started wanting to write as a career, this vivid image in my head of me waking up with this beautiful messy bun on the top of my head and this really large comfy sweater with some gorgeous pajama bottoms. I am also in my dream about 80 pounds lighter than I am right now, and just going to my table with my cup of tea with a little slip of paper that has this motivational saying on the end of it. They have, I think Yogi Tea has that on their tea bags. But just walking there, opening up my computer, and there's from the window is this gorgeous ray of morning light coming in. It's so dumb, right? So I literally would envision this. I mean, that's what I'm waiting for. The moment where I could be like this, then I will be a writer.
How's that working?
Well, it was a few more years before I got serious. Let's just say that. But yeah, I need. I don't do music. I can do white noise, things like that. And sometimes I can even do soundtracks that don't have, or music that doesn't have words to it. So just instrumental stuff. Instrumental, that's what we call those. So I like quiet. I like comfy clothes too, mostly pajamas. I am actually, so you're in your pajama pants and your cute top. I am still in work clothes. It is 10:23 p.m. and I'm wearing what I wore to work this morning, what I put on at 6 o'clock this morning.
Oh.
That
means she loves y'all.
That's exactly what that means. So if you're wondering why I'm a little loopy, it's just lack of sleep. That's all that is. So, that's my ideal. I want quiet, and in my dream, or in my vision, it is there are no people around, there are no animals around. It is just me, a cup of tea, and a computer. I like tea. I don't love tea, but I think tea is a little bit more romantic than coffee. So, so of course I'm gonna have a cup of tea in that vision.
It does sound fancier.
Does it? Well, spot of tea. I'm not gonna do that again because I'm a little embarrassed.
You're too funny.
So that is my dream. So, how often do you get your ideal joy?
Never.
Yeah, neither.
So let's talk reality.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So reality, I think, and we'll see if we're pretty similar with this. I think reality for both of us is lots of noise, stuff going on around us, small snippets of time, and then stolen moments whenever we can either squeeze them in or beg, borrow, and steal them. Those kinds of things. We very rarely have, because both of us, I know we've talked about this before, we both love the big blocks of time. Like, you have like 4 hours to sit down and work on something for that entire time. Yeah.
I prefer days.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. If we're being ideal, yes, absolutely, days. But that's not reality for us typically. We can get that sometimes, but for the most part, it's 15-minute increments here and there in between all sorts of things that are going on around us. So I think as we were talking about this, we were like, okay, well, what are some of the things, what do we actually have to be productive? And when you kind of shift your mindset to what do you actually have to get work done, it's kind of interesting when you start thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things I have to have is one project at a time. And so if I don't have big blocks of time on that to work on it, at least I can have maybe 1 month there where I'm only working on one project. And every spare moment, every 15 minutes or whatever I get, I know what I'm fixing to focus on because it's going to be that project that I'm working on that month. You know, sometimes it's a week. It just depends on what kind of project it is. But if I'm, for example, if I'm revising something and it's a novel size something, I need that month to do that. So you have what you are working on either in an app on your phone or in a Google Doc where that you can access quickly, or in your email, or however it is that you can access it quickly. And you never have to wonder, what project am I working on? Am I going to do the poetry project, or am I going to do the art project, or am I going to do the novel? Or what about the short story anthology? I want to work, because there are so many things. There are all the things, and if I have to think about all of that, then I will spend that entire 15 minutes or hour or whatever I have just debating on what I'm going to work on. So.
Exactly.
So I need a particular project. What do you need?
Another thing is to know that deadline, to know that, okay, I have 15 minutes, to know that, okay, I have, my kids have this activity and it lasts an hour, but by the time I sit down to the time that I have to get back up again to go and get them, I've got exactly 45 minutes. So that's all the time I got. And, I plan accordingly. Okay, so I know my project, I know what I'm working on, and then I think, okay, what can I get done in these 45 minutes? Boom, there we go. And then I also envision it. I envision myself accomplishing that. So for me, most often that's at our library. And so I can envision myself, okay, I'm going to get there, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to put my bag here at the table, I'm going to pull out my computer, go ahead and get that up and running while I pull out this and this and this. And so I kind of think it through as I'm driving there. I'm driving the kids to the library and I'm going over this in my head so that when I get there, it's okay, this is what I'm doing, and it happens.
Yeah, well, and that's actually really great, because what would happen if you didn't do that? You would get to the library, you'd put down your bag and okay, what do I need to do? Oh, let me just check and see if anybody's text messaged me.
Yeah, and it's no social media. Yeah, exactly. And I also have a go bag. I call it my go bag because we have several of these events throughout the week. So I have my bag that I can quickly throw my stuff into. I know exactly what I need to put in there. I have the pocket where my headphones go. I have the, all of those things. And so I toss it in there, I grab it, and I go. And so, I think the same thing could be said for your workstation. If you have like a certain place that you typically work, having it set up according to how you like it, and having it clutter free, which mine right now is definitely not clutter free, and it's more stressful for me when it's not neat and clean and tidy.
And if you have a place where you can keep the notes and the inspiration and everything that you need in order to work on your project, if you can keep that out, that would be really great. I know not everybody
That
has
would be the ideal.
Yeah, that would be the ideal if you could do that. But maybe you have a 3-ring binder that you carry around with you, and it's really easy for you to like open up and have your notes and your pictures of characters or whatever else that you have. If you don't have a board or something in a place or a desk that you can keep everything out on, that would be nice. I'm going to pop back up to deadline too. It's not just do I have 15 minutes? Do I have 30 minutes or something? It's also like a deadline on the length of time you're going to be working on that particular project that you would like to have it done. Absolutely. So do look at that deadline too, and having that deadline kind of inspires you to be really focused in the 15 minutes that you have. So, and I also wanted to say too that I use my lunch hour a lot, and it's that ends up being about 45 minutes that I get a lot of work done. And it's amazing. It's amazing what you can do in 45 minutes. I used to think, I only have an hour, so I'm not even going to try to do, whatever. And now I'm like, I have an hour.
Yeah, that's like, wow, that's so much time.
It feels like so much time.
Yeah. And there's scientific proof. I mean, I've seen this in several different articles and posts and things all over the place. Like, when you only have X amount of time and you focus in on what you're doing, you can accomplish way more in that 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is than you might have accomplished in 2 hours when you're just like, I've got all the time in the world, and you're kind of whatever.
Mm-hmm. And another thing is that if you're looking for some places where you can find time, if you have a full-time job, you can get to work 15 minutes early, and there's 15 minutes there that you have to write. You can leave 15 minutes late. There is this very small amount of time that I have between work and the time that I have to pick up my first, like the first pickup for one of the kids. And every once in a while, there will be about 10 minutes where I can just sit in the car for just a second and like do something. And that's, I don't know, it just feels good. There's something about doing something creative before you have to do something that you have to have done. Right. But that is the time that we have for today. Okay. And I just want to say one thing before we get into the QWERTY challenge. If you can embrace the fact that you can be creative anywhere, you can just wrap your head around that, then all of a sudden your right brain is no longer imprisoned by a smell or a desk or a particular circumstance. You can feel free to let your right brain play and complete your creative project by piecing together bite-sized amounts of time and chunks of productivity. And accepting that fact that this is your reality and this is where you are in the season of your life, it can have quality results from these snippets of time that can lead you to, dare I say, look forward to these simple moments.
Absolutely. That's a great point. That leads us to our challenge. Nice. So this week, think about, what do you have that you need to work on this week? Jot down what work or projects that you're wanting to work on this week. And not just jot them down, but actually just pick one. Okay, just start with one. Hone in on that one project that you're wanting to work on. And now you're going to think through your week and find the times when you can do that work. Okay? How much time is it? Okay, maybe you get 15 minutes on Monday morning. Maybe you get 30 minutes on Tuesday afternoon. Whatever it is, go ahead and think about those times where you can actually do some work on this project. Plan ahead for it. Visualize doing that work in that space, in that time. Think that through. Make sure that you have everything, all the tools that you need, those things that you have to have. Make sure that you've planned all that out. So, then the next thing is just to do it. and sometimes that's the hardest step of all of this, isn't it? But we've got one friendly word of encouragement. Because here's the thing, this isn't going to be easy, especially if you've never done this before, because we've both been there, okay? Mm-hmm. When I first thought about taking those moments when I'm surrounded by people and I only have a little bit of time, I thought, there's no way. I cannot do anything that's going to be worth anything during that small window of time with all these people around me and all of that. And I just had to push myself to do it. And I had to keep pushing myself to do it because I didn't succeed the first, I honestly wish I could remember how many times it took me. I can't remember, but it was not a quick thing for me. And you might be different. This might be completely easy for you, but it was hard for me. So just keep that in mind. And, if you've never pushed yourself to work and create outside of your happy little bubble, then you've got to give yourself time to adjust. So be ready for that and be prepared for that. But like anything else, a little bit of practice and a whole lot of determination on your part is going to get you there. So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And also, the more you wake up your right brain and let it play around, even if it's just for a few minutes, the faster it gets to focus in on the particular project that you're working on, the better your outcome is going to be, the easier it will be to shut out the world and actually hone in on what you're doing. And I guess it's just like a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
It's the more you exercise it, the better it gets. So expect for this to be hard. Expect for this QWERTY challenge to be difficult, and share. You're welcome to share that difficulty with us because we have been there. We will lament and probably have a bit of nostalgia.
Absolutely.
So, and if you have any questions about maybe a particular thing you're having trouble with in this, grasping of this time, please email us or comment on our Podbean or anything like that, and we will be happy to share suggestions with you.
Absolutely.
That's all we have today, guys. So we hope that you have a wonderful creative week, and let us know what you do.
Sounds great. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening until the end.
Seriously, you're a trooper.
Do you think QWERTY writing life is the bomb?
May, you just said the bomb.
Don't you censor me.
If you think QWERTY writing life rocks ice for real,
oh my word,
please rate, review, and share us with others.
If you have questions about this week's episode or want to start a conversation, you can reach us by visiting QWERTYWritingLife.podbean.com.
We'll be back next week with more candid chats for you.